Something happened at a private celebrity birthday party that sent the internet into a spiral. Hailey Bieber leaned in close to Kylie Jenner's ear, right in front of Justin Bieber, in the middle of a karaoke session, and whispered two words that the entire internet decided were the most loaded two words in recent celebrity history. Here's what that night actually looked like, and why those two words are still being debated. Two words. In early November 2025, a group of some of the most recognizable people on the planet gathered on a private Caribbean island to celebrate Kendall Jenner turning 30. The guest list was tight and deliberate. Kylie Jenner, Kris Jenner, Kim and Khloe Kardashian, Anastasia Stassi, Nicolaou, singer Justine Skye, model Carter Gregory, and Justin and Hailey Bieber. Reports place the celebration at a private villa on Mystique or a similar private island, a multi-day trip with sun, cocktails, beachside dinners, and the kind of atmosphere that only forms when a group of people has known each other for a very long time. Stassi Nicolaou filmed the whole thing. She uploaded a vlog to YouTube on November 10th, 2025, titled Happy Birthday Kenny, that runs over 20 minutes and documents the trip from start to finish, the island, the drinks, Kris Jenner giving an emotional speech that moved Kendall to tears, the dinners, and eventually, late in the video, a karaoke session that would become the most dissected 30 seconds of the year. At around the 15-minute mark, a backing track starts playing. The song is Justin Bieber's 2015 track, No Pressure, a cut from his Purpose album. Justin stepped to the front, and the group gathered close around him. Kendall, Kylie, Hailey, Stassi, Justine Skye, dancing, singing, laughing. He put his hands over his face. He hyped everyone. The energy in the room was exactly what you'd expect from a late-night birthday celebration among people who had been friends for a decade. Kylie was near him. She was dancing, moving to the music, close enough that the phone camera caught every second of it. And then, in the middle of it all, a woman leaned in toward Kylie's ear. Two words. No pressure. That was the moment. The clip was extracted from the vlog, cropped, zoomed, slowed down, and posted to Instagram Reels, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts within days of the full video going up. And the caption that traveled with it set the whole conversation in motion. Hailey noticed what Kylie Jenner did in front of Justin Bieber, so she quickly stepped in and whispered, "No pressure," in Kylie Jenner's ear. The clips ran under 30 seconds. They were built for short-form consumption and engineered for maximum drama. Some of them described Kylie as showcasing her physique near Justin, as dancing in a way that read as deliberate rather than casual. They framed the whisper as Hailey's response, calm, precise, the kind of quiet intervention that carries more weight than a scene would. The fact that the whispered words were the exact title of the song playing in the room made it feel almost too perfect. The kind of sharp, composed shade that could only be deployed by someone who knew exactly what they were doing. The comment sections flooded. Millions of views, thousands of people debating whether this constituted a confrontation, whether this had been building for years, whether what the internet had always suspected was finally playing out in real time on a private island at a birthday party. The reason the clip landed with that kind of force, the reason people received it so readily, without resistance, without much skepticism, is not because the footage itself was clear. The footage was phone filmed, low lit, and shaky. The reason it landed is because the story being projected onto it was already 12 years old. It had been accumulating since 2013 through red carpet interviews and tabloid insider tips and anonymous sources and Instagram photographs from Ibiza, until by 2025, there was enough weight behind it to turn a whispered joke into a confrontation without a single word of evidence. The mythology did the work the footage couldn't do on its own. And that mythology starts on a purple carpet on December 18th, 2013, at the world premiere of Justin Bieber's documentary, Believe, where a 16-year-old Kylie Jenner told a reporter from E! News exactly what she thought about the boy she'd been friends with for years. It starts with 3 words. Of course. Doesn't every girl think he's cute? Those 3 words became the first entry in a story the internet would spend over a decade building out. A story about proximity and longing, and a circle of young celebrities who were all connected in ways that the tabloids found irresistible. A story about Kylie and Justin, about Hailey and Justin, about Selena and Justin, about photographs and text messages and Ibiza parties and birthday parties, and 2 whispered words at a karaoke session that may or may not mean what everyone thinks they mean. To understand why this clip hit the way it did, you have to follow that story all the way from 2013 to November 2025. You have to go through the years, through the rumors, through the relationships that formed and broke and reformed in this particular circle of people. Because the karaoke moment only makes sense when you know what came before it. And what came before it is one of the most long-running pieces of celebrity mythology the internet has ever constructed. The story that started it all. The premiere of Believe on December 18, 2013 was a full Hollywood production. Purple carpet, Teen Vogue co-presentation, cameras everywhere. Justin Bieber was 19 and navigating a rough stretch in the press. Kylie Jenner was 16 and already embedded in his world, part of the extended circle of young LA celebrities who moved through the same events, the same social spaces, the same overlapping friendships that form when everyone you know is also famous. Kendall Jenner was in that world, Hailey Baldwin was in that world, and so was Kylie. At the carpet that night, an E! News reporter caught up with Kylie and asked her about Justin. He had been collecting headlines that year. Paparazzi altercations, neighbor complaints, the ambient tabloid noise of someone who had been famous since he was 14 and was now old enough to be interesting in a new kind of way. The reporter wanted a response from a friend. Kylie's answer was generous and specific. She talked about how nice he was, how humble, how he'd been a real friend to her. And then the question shifted. Did she think he was cute? She didn't hesitate. Of course, doesn't every girl think he's cute? It was a red carpet answer. It was an unguarded answer. And in the particular ecosystem of 2013 celebrity gossip, it was enough. Pop Crush ran it as a headline. Is Kylie Jenner crushing on Justin Bieber? And the framing spread quickly through the teen celebrity sites that tracked this world obsessively. The context around it added texture. Kylie was 16, single, and had been vehemently denying any romantic involvement with Jaden Smith for most of that year. The quote felt pointed, even if it wasn't meant to be. By itself, it was nothing. A teenager saying a charming, thoughtless thing on a carpet, but nothing in celebrity gossip exists by itself. It accumulates. It waits. And in the spring of 2014, the accumulation accelerated. Reports surfaced, originating at Radar Online and quickly spreading to India Today, the Hindustan Times, the International Business Times, and others, that Selena Gomez had found text messages and photographs from Kylie on Justin's phone. The reports varied on specifics. Some called the content suggestive, others went further and used the word racy. But the basic shape of the story was the same everywhere. Selena had been furious. There had been a confrontation, and she had unfollowed both Kendall and Kylie Jenner on Instagram in the aftermath. Not one of the people at the center of it, not Selena, not Kylie, not Kendall, not Justin, ever commented publicly on any of the specifics. The story was built entirely from anonymous sources speaking to tabloids, but the absence of a denial functioned, in the way it always does in this world, as a kind of confirmation. The story sat in the public record, tidy and uncontested, ready to be cited whenever the next chapter came along. The next chapter came in August. On August 1st, 2014, Justin attended Riccardo Tisci's star-studded 40th birthday party in Ibiza, a lavish, fully photographed event hosted at a horse stud farm venue, attended by Kim Kardashian, Kanye West, Kate Moss, Naomi Campbell, Kris Jenner, and Kendall Jenner, among others. Online covered the party in real time and cataloged the photographs. Justin with his arms around Kris Jenner, Justin cozy with Kim, and the photographs that ignited everything, Justin and Kendall Jenner, positioned close together, one image capturing Kendall leaning her lips toward Justin's neck as he laughed. Justin posted these images himself. They went everywhere immediately, and Heat magazine followed up with an anonymous insider who claimed that Kylie, back in Los Angeles, had seen the photographs on Instagram mid-afternoon and been devastated. The source described her as having been desperate to date Justin for a long time, and framed Kendall's appearance in those photographs as a specific kind of betrayal. The source told the magazine that Kylie tried to pretend that she didn't care, but she was close to tears. The detail that made this story land differently than the earlier rumors was the sibling angle. It wasn't just Kylie and a boy she liked. It was Kylie, a boy she liked, and her sister, the three of them caught in a triangle at a party Kylie wasn't even at, playing out in photographs that were posted publicly for anyone to see. None of it was confirmed. The Heat story was, like almost everything else in this chapter, an anonymous insider speaking without a name attached, but it filled in a picture. Kylie, passionate, private, fiercely connected to the people in her world, trying to hold her composure while something she cared about played out on someone else's Instagram. By late 2015, Kylie was working to reframe the whole narrative. In an interview with Elle UK, she described her bond with Justin in warm, specific terms, not as something charged or unresolved, but as a deep friendship grounded in shared experience. She talked about how he understood what it meant to have grown up famous, how he would check in on her at events, sit her down and tell her she was amazing, that she could get through whatever she was going through. I'm so close to him because I feel like he's been through exactly what I've been through in a completely different way, but very similar. So he gets me. It sounded by 2015 like the crush chapter had been put away, like it had dissolved into something quieter and more sustainable, the particular kind of close friendship that forms between two people who have navigated the same specific pressures and come out the other side understanding each other in a way most people can't. But stories like this one don't dissolve. They go dormant. They sit in the background of every subsequent story, ready to be reactivated the moment a new piece of footage gives them somewhere to land. That's the story the karaoke clip landed inside. died. That's why 2 words whispered at a birthday party felt like the conclusion of something, because the internet had been carrying the opening chapters for over a decade, and it was more than ready for an ending. The woman who was always in the room. Here is something that tends to get buried in the Kylie and Justin mythology. Hailey Baldwin was in that same world the entire time. She was not a character who appeared suddenly when Justin decided to get serious about someone. She was woven into his life in a way that went back to the very beginning of the era being discussed. A connection that was quiet enough to not generate as many tabloid headlines as the louder relationships in the same circle, but consistent enough that it was always there, in the background, threading through years of other stories. Hailey had known Justin since she was a teenager. Her father, actor Stephen Baldwin, had brought her to meet Justin early in his rise to fame, a meeting that was actually captured on video. And from that initial contact, the two had developed a bond that ran alongside everything else. She was close with Kendall and Kylie Jenner. She moved in the same social circles. In the same years that the Kylie crush rumors were at their most active, 2013, 2014, 2015, Hailey was at the same events, in the same rooms, part of the same extended friend group that orbited Justin's world. The difference between her and the other women in that orbit, in the tabloid sense at least, is that her name didn't appear in the crisis stories. She was not the subject of the phone texts drama. She was not in the Ibiza photographs. She was simply present, and consistently so, in a way that the gossip machinery of the era had no particular reason to make interesting. That changed in 2018. Justin and Hailey got engaged in July 2018 and married at a New York courthouse on September 30th, 2018. A larger ceremony followed in South Carolina the following year. Hailey was 21 when they got engaged. Justin was 24. And the reaction, particularly online, particularly from a specific section of the fan base that had spent years deeply invested in the idea of Justin and Selena Gomez, was immediate, hostile, and in some cases relentless. The hostility was not abstract. It was specific and targeted. It came from a story the internet had told itself for years about a timeline that didn't add up, about a woman who had inserted herself into a situation she shouldn't have been in, about whether Hailey had been involved with Justin while he was still with someone else. The word that got used most often was homewrecker. Hailey addressed it directly on her Call Her Daddy interview, a platform she chose in part precisely because it allowed her to speak in full sentences rather than in the fragmented sound bites that interviews had cost her in the past.
Not one time.
Her answer to whether she had ever been with Justin romantically while he was in another relationship.
When him and I started hanging out, okay, let's just put it this way. When him and I ever started hooking up or anything of that sort.
And then the part that landed hardest, not the denial itself, but the framing of what the denial actually meant.
He was not ever in a relationship. Ever. At any point.
She had been carrying that answer for years before she said it publicly. She had watched the story be told about her, the timeline story, the homewrecker story, the idea that she had maneuvered her way into a relationship that wasn't hers to have, and she had, for a long time, chosen not to correct it publicly. Not because she had nothing to say.
Well, I think, based on what you're saying, one of the, issues with that is that then you get stuck having to explain yourself for every little thing.
That was the calculation. Every time she addressed it, the story didn't end. It generated a new cycle, a new take, a new round of headlines that would require another response, and another after that, forever. Silence, as maddening as it was the only option that didn't feed the machine.
I've literally never talked about this ever.
What the Call Her Daddy interview revealed about Hailey, beyond the timeline, was a portrait of a person who has spent years developing a very specific relationship with conflict. A relationship defined primarily by the desire to avoid it.
My personality is very I don't do well with confrontation. I don't like to confront awkward situations.
She said it plainly, without hedging. It was not a boast. It was a description of someone who had learned, through years of navigating a marriage under relentless public scrutiny, through years of watching every statement she made get stripped of context and turned into a headline, that the cost of engaging was almost always higher than the cost of not engaging. This pattern had been consistent across years of public incidents. When Justin's surprise duet with SCA at Kendrick Lamar's Grand National Tour stop in May 2025 generated wall-to-wall speculation about the state of their marriage, clips going viral of Justin and SCA in close choreography, the comment sections lighting up. Hailey's response was to post the performance to her own Instagram stories with heart emojis and the caption, "My two favorite artists." Not a statement, not a clapback, a caption. When she was spotted multiple times in New York City in June 2025 without her wedding ring, igniting a fresh round of divorce headlines, she didn't address it directly. She was seen wearing the ring again. That was the response. When she did give Vogue a full interview in the summer of 2025, she described the constant divorce speculation speculation as a mind facade, something that drove her crazy precisely because it was so disconnected from the life she was actually living, the one where she woke up to her beautiful family and her son and her people. She talked about how the thing that felt unbearable wasn't the negativity itself, it was the gap between the story being told about her and the truth she knew. The picture this builds of Hailey Bieber, as a person, is important context for the karaoke clip, because the person the internet imagined whispering pointed shade into Kylie Jenner's ear at a birthday party, calm, precise, protective, stepping in to address a problem with two perfectly chosen words, is not the person Hailey has spent years describing herself as. It is not the pattern her behavior has established across half a decade of public incidents where the more confrontational response was available, and she chose something quieter every single time. She does not step in. She does not whisper warnings. She posts heart emojis and lets the stories dissolve on their own. That's the Hailey Bieber who was in that room in November 2025. And that's the Hailey Bieber who was standing in the background when those two words were whispered. Visible, present, dancing, entirely unbothered. A friendship the internet keeps overlooking. Before we get to what actually happened at that karaoke session, before we get to who was standing next to Kylie and what those two words actually meant, there is a version of this story that almost never makes it into the reels and the TikToks. A quieter version, less dramatic by design, that has been playing out in the background of this whole mythology for over a decade. Hailey Bieber and Kylie Jenner are, by every available measure, genuinely close friends. Not close in the carefully managed, publicly performed way that some celebrity friendships look. Close in the small, unguarded, logistical way that actual friendship looks, the kind that shows up in asides rather than announcements. In a GQ Actually Me segment where Hailey was asked to answer internet questions about herself, she was posed a hypothetical. If she could trade closets with any of her friends, whose would she choose?
I think Kylie has a very amazing and fun closet that is just, I mean, who wouldn't want to share, like, trade closets with her? I'll trade houses with her, too, if she ever wants.
And when asked what perfume she was wearing,
I really love Cosmic 2.0 by Kylie Jenner. That has been my scent of choice recently.
These are not the answers of someone navigating a decade of dormant rivalry. They are the answers of someone who genuinely adores the person she's talking about, who reaches for her friend's perfume in the morning and thinks about stealing her wardrobe and laughs about it on camera without any visible self-consciousness. The warmth in them is not performed. It's the casual, throwaway warmth of someone whose friendship is so settled, it doesn't require any effort to display. The roots of that friendship go back to the same years the Kylie-Justin mythology was forming. By the mid-2000s, when all the tabloid stories were at their peak, Kendall Jenner joked in a 2018 interview that she had stolen Hailey from Kylie, a line that landed as playful sisterly provocation, but also underlined just how embedded Hailey had become in the Jenner family's world. She wasn't just connected to Justin, she was connected to both sisters, in her own right, as her own person. That connection held through every subsequent complication, through the engagement, through the marriage, through the years of public scrutiny that followed. Kylie attended both of Hailey and Justin's ceremonies, the private courthouse wedding in September 2018 and the larger celebration in South Carolina in September 2019. And to the 2019 ceremony, she wore a metallic gold jeton couture gown, dramatic cutouts, a waist-high slit, crystal butterfly hairpin that generated its own controversy. Critics called it spotlight stealing, too bold for a wedding guest, exactly the kind of choice that signals someone who was not thinking about the bride. By October 2025, Kylie addressed the controversy directly in Vogue's Life in Looks series, revisiting the look 6 years later with the relaxed, unguarded tone of someone who has had enough time to find it funny. She said she'd thought everyone would be going all out for the event. She said she'd stayed nearly until the end and had one of the best nights. And on whether Hailey had a problem with the dress, they didn't care. I don't think, Hailey, call me if you have an issue. That line, half offer, half joke, entirely easy, is a cleaner window into the actual state of this friendship than 1,000 tabloid stories. It is the tone of two people who have been through enough together that a controversial gold gown is just a funny memory, something to laugh about on camera, not something that requires careful diplomatic handling. Hailey, call me if you have an issue, is not the sentence of someone who has been quietly managing a decade of simmering tension. It's the sentence of someone who knows exactly where they stand with their friend. By May 2025, that closeness was showing up in moments that were harder to ignore. The day after Justin's SCA duet generated an internet storm about the Bieber marriage, Hailey showed up at Kylie's Kai brand collaboration launch party, alongside Kendall, appearing in Kylie's Instagram stories, described across outlets as upbeat and in good spirits. She was leaning on this circle during a period of genuine public pressure, not avoiding them, not managing them at a distance, but showing up to their events the day after a difficult news cycle and being present. By April 2026, all three of them, Hailey, Kylie, Kendall, were at Coachella together for Justin's headlining set. Kylie arrived early and posted tributes. She showed up in nails and outfits that were explicit acts of support. Kendall and Kylie were filmed dancing together during Justin's performance. Hailey was there with their son Jack, who wore a temporary Biebercella tattoo. Justin gave a shout out to Hailey from the stage, and she blew him a kiss from the crowd. And Kylie was in that crowd too. Not as a rival, not as a complication, but as a friend who had flown in to be there. This is the friendship that existed on the night of Kendall's birthday party. This is the actual texture of the relationship between these two women. A decade of shared events, shared grief, shared joy, shared laughter about gold wedding guest dresses. Not a quiet war, not a barely maintained truce, a real friendship with real warmth that has outlasted every piece of mythology the internet has tried to write over it, which makes the Hailey confronts Kylie reading of the karaoke clip stranger the more carefully you examine it, because the person the internet placed at the center of that confrontation, the one allegedly stepping in to protect her territory, delivering 2 words of surgical shade, was already in that room as Kylie's friend, not her rival, not her adversary, her friend, and the person who actually leaned in and whispered those 2 words. That is where the story finally resolves. Who actually whispered? The full Stassi Karanicolaou vlog, Happy Birthday Kenny, is available on YouTube, uploaded on November 10th, 2025. It runs for over 20 minutes. Every beat of that birthday trip is in there, unedited, in full context. The island, Stassi's increasingly horrified reactions to exotic cocktails, Kris Jenner's speech, the group dinners, and the karaoke session at the end of the night where those 2 words were whispered. Anastasia Karanicolaou, known universally as Stassi, or Stassi Baby, is Kylie Jenner's best friend. Full stop. Not one of her close friends, not a member of a rotating inner circle. Her best friend, the person she has been closest to since they were both teenagers, somewhere around 2010 to 2012. People magazine has described her as Kylie's lifelong confidant, the consistent presence at every event, every trip, every milestone. The kind of friendship that gets described as a sisterhood because it has the longevity and the unconditional depth that sisterhood implies. She is also the group's documentarian. Stassi's YouTube channel is built around capturing these moments, birthday trips, Coachella hangs, holidays, and uploading them for an audience that has come to expect full, unvarnished access to the inner world of this circle. She is the one with the camera. She is the one who decides what gets shared and how. The birthday trip vlog was her project from start to finish. At the karaoke segment, approximately the 15:35 mark, Justin is at the front of the group with the backing track to No Pressure running. The whole group is packed in close around him. Everyone is singing, dancing, laughing, the specific warm chaos of late-night karaoke among close friends. Justin has his hands over his face. He is delighted. He is hyping the women around him, encouraging all of them to get into it. Exactly the energy that People magazine later described as Justin putting his hands over his face and hyped the girls up as they attempted to sing the song. Kylie is near him. She is dancing. The camera catches it. And then, positioned right next to Kylie, exactly where she always is, exactly where she has been for over a decade, Stassi Karanicolaou leans in toward Kylie's ear. No pressure. The song they are singing is called No Pressure. Those are the words playing out loud in the room. Stassi leans in and delivers the punchline that is already hanging in the air. The irony of those 2 specific words, no pressure, is almost too complete. Because the word pressure is exactly the right word for what the internet has been applying to this group of people for over a decade. The pressure of the Kylie-Justin mythology, of the Selena backstory, of Hailey's public years of harassment, of the marriage speculation that has never fully subsided, all of it pressing down on a karaoke moment at a birthday party until it became something it was never meant to be. Click on one of the cards on your screen to see more videos like this.